The story takes place in a mystical world where magic and monsters coexist with humans. An outcast, Will Serfort, who had no magical abilities, had to prove himself, all because of a promise he made to his friend once. He embarks on a journey to become a legendary warrior, battling fearsome enemies and gaining the title of a skilled mage. Along the way, he meets new friends and allies who join him on his quest for adventure and self-discovery. What do you think drives Serfort's desire to become a skilled mage? The scene opens at Regarden Magical Academy, a grand and majestic school that exudes an air of royalty. This prestigious institution is renowned for its bias towards students who possess exceptional magical abilities, making it a hub for young talents to hone their craft. As we delve into the story, we find Will Serfort, a determined student, fearlessly venturing into a dark and ominous dungeon. With a fierce determination in his eyes, he engages in an intense battle with the ferocious beast, leaving us to ponder a pressing question. Can students who lack natural magical talent truly succeed at this esteemed academy? Will is resolute in his quest to answer this question, vowing to slay the dungeon monsters and prove that even the most unlikely students can thrive. As Will embarks on his journey at Regarden Magical Academy, he is surrounded by young mages who seem to effortlessly wield their magical powers. Despite his own handicap, Will's unwavering resolve remains a beacon of hope, driving him to push beyond his limits and challenge the status quo. With every step, he draws closer to uncovering the truth about this enigmatic academy and his own place within its hallowed halls. Will's story is one of courage, perseverance, and self-discovery, set against the backdrop of a magical world where talent and determination collide. Next, Will attends class with his familiar Kiki. Professor Edward, Will's teacher, asks him to come to the front of the class to perform a fire spell on some Balkaor. Unfortunately, Will cannot perform the spell and his classmates laugh at him. Cheyenne, another student, performs the spell instead from his seat. Edward yells at Cyan for performing the spell and reminds the class that the supremacy of magic is absolute. Additionally, Edward says those who lack magical capabilities are unfit to attend Regarden. After class, Cyan, accompanied by his buddies Lyril and Gordon, scolds Will for his pitiful spell attempt in class. Then another classmate, Colette, arrives and tells Cyan to stop bullying Will. Cheyenne argues that Will soon abandon his hopes of becoming a skilled mage, let alone a Magia Vander. He argues hard work and kindness will not help him achieve these things. Will, Colette, and Kiki wander the halls and discuss Colette's odd and mean behavior towards Edward, Cyan, and the others' treatment of Will. Will tells Colette he is okay and is happy someone's sticking up for him. The two look up at the sky and Will delves into detail about their world's origins and who the Magia Vander are. He says invaders called the Celestial Host terrorized this world. However, 5 wizards thwarted the Celestial Host's plans by setting up a seal over their world's sky. Will confirms the strongest wizards can earn the Magia Vander title. As the scene unfolds, Colette gazes at the Ice Maiden's wand, Elfaria, and ponders if the wand is watching over them. Suddenly, the camera pans to a window where Elfaria stands, gazing out into the distance. Will is convinced that Elfaria is observing them from this very window, her presence felt but unseen. The scene shifts, and we are transported to a vivid flashback of a young Will and Elfaria, their faces aglow with excitement and hope. In this tender moment, the two friends share a dream of witnessing a breathtaking sunset together, their eyes sparkling with anticipation. Elfaria, with a knowing smile, suggests that they become Magia Vanders, wielders of magical energy, to make this dream a reality. The two promise each other that they will see this sunset together, no matter what the future holds. As the flashback fades, Will's voice takes over, his words filled with a deep admiration for Elfaria. Will recounts how Elfaria became a Magia Vander at a remarkably young age, her exceptional skills and dedication earning her this esteemed title. Though Will acknowledges his own lack of talent compared to Elfaria's prodigious abilities, he makes a solemn vow to fulfill his promise to her. With unwavering determination, Will pledges to become a Magia Vander himself, no matter the challenges ahead, so that he can stand alongside Elfaria and witness that glorious sunset they once dreamed of together. Next, Will apologizes to Professor Workner for entering a dangerous dungeon. Nonetheless, Workner awards Will 2 credits for bringing in an evil guard specimen. Then Workner tells Will that if he wants to ascend the tower like other Magia Vander, he must advance to the Upper Institute. Workner says Will must improve his writing, spellwork, and praxis skills. Unfortunately, Workner does not see Will earning spellwork credits because Will cannot use magic. Will argues that focusing his effort on praxis will help him achieve his goal, but Workner shoots that method down. Nevertheless, Workner tells Will he should focus more on trying to graduate than becoming a Magia Vander. Noticing Will's concerns, Workner tells Will that there have been reports of the Baskerville causing issues on the dungeon's 6th floor. He also knows no one's slain the creature yet. Will is appreciative of Workner for this intel. While Will's thanking Worker, Cheyenne eavesdrops on their conversation and heads to the sixth floor dungeon to deal with the Baskerville. As the adventure continues, we find Will and Cheyenne leading their respective groups through the uncharted territories of the dungeon's sixth floor. The air is thick with anticipation and trepidation as the groups navigate the unknown dangers that lurk within. Meanwhile, Cheyenne's thoughts reveal a stark contrast to the camaraderie and determination that defines Will's approach. Internally, Cheyenne argues that individuals like Will, who lack exceptional magical talent, should not aspire to become Magia Vanders nor attend prestigious academies like Regarden. In Cheyenne's opinion, such pursuits are nothing short of folly, a waste of time and resources. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream shatters the tension as a sentinel, a fearsome and enigmatic beast, attacks one of Cheyenne's comrades. The group's tranquility is shattered and panic begins to set in. Will, ever vigilant and attuned to the needs of others, hears the desperate cry for help and springs into action. Without hesitation, he rushes towards the scene of the attack, his heart pounding in his chest. As he approaches, the sounds of chaos and despair grow louder, and the fate of Cheyenne's comrade hangs precariously in the balance. He is surprised by the Sentinel's presence and says slaying one will earn you 10 credits. Moreover, Will sees Cheyenne in danger and wonders if he should save him despite all the mean things Cheyenne has done to him. Then Will puts on some goggles Elfaria gave him in the past and attacks the Sentinel with his sword. Later, Edward visits Worker and tells him to send his familiar to the dungeon's 6th floor. Edward informs Worker that Cheyenne has ventured to the 6th floor of the dungeon without permission, a reckless and dangerous move. Worker, however, remains calm and unfazed, revealing that he is aware of Will's presence on the same floor. With a knowing glint in his eye, Worker uses his crystal ball to gaze into the dungeon, allowing Edward to witness the unfolding events. The crystal ball's vision reveals Will valiantly holding off the evil sentinel, his skills and determination on full display. Edward and Cheyenne watch in awe, their initial concerns replaced by disbelief and admiration for Will's impressive prowess. They cannot believe their eyes. Will, the young student they have been monitoring, is putting up an incredible fight against the formidable foe. Worker's expression remains serene, his confidence in Will's abilities evident in his calm demeanor. Worker tells Edward that Will is a mage with superhuman strength, a robust physique, and wonderful observational skills. The former says with one slash of Will's sword, he can land a blow that surpasses lightning. Will attacks the Sentinel with his sword. Edward leaves Worker's office infuriated, and Cheyenne shares a similar reaction and Will extends a helping hand to him. Will returns to Worker's office and the latter awards him with 10 credits. The scene closes with Will explaining the start of it all. A flashback is set 5 years ago. In it, Will receives criticism from his peers. He is just 10 years old, facing harsh treatment from teachers as well as his classmates. Then, Will and Worker visit the Regarden Magic Academy's Regarden headmistress Cauldron. Will Serfort was ridiculed for being unable to cast any magic spells. However, Cauldron, the principal of the Regarden Magic Academy, gave him a blade with which the boys showcased that he was no less than one who wields a wand. Cauldron allowed Will to join the academy and assured him that he too could become a Magia Vander if he had the determination and skill. The principal wanted to see the boy's journey and his willpower. Cauldron gives Will a sword and uses various spells to fight Will. Will eliminates Cauldron's magical shields, and this impresses Cauldron. Cauldron says she will allow Will to continue attending this school. Moreover, Cauldron says if Will continues to improve, he may get a chance to ascend the tower and fulfill his and Elfaria's dream. In the present, Will attends Worker's class. There, Worker explains what ascending the tower means. He says it means someone wants to advance to the upper institute. Worker argues if someone advances to the upper institute, they will inherently become the Magia Vander. Worker discloses that there are 2 paths to attaining the coveted title of Magia Vander. The first approach, he explains, entails pioneering an entirely new form of magic, a feat that demands revolutionary innovation and exceptional magical expertise. However, Worker concedes that this route is exceedingly difficult, if not intimidating, for the majority of students. He acknowledges that the hurdles to achieving this method are substantial, requiring an extraordinary level of magical talent, creativity, and dedication. Additionally, Worker notes that this path demands an unwavering commitment to research, experimentation, and practice, as well as an unrelenting passion for magical discovery. The challenges are formidable, but the reward is worth the effort, as pioneering a new form of magic can lead to a profound impact on the world of magic and beyond. Therefore, he highlights the second method, which involves accumulating a staggering 7,200 Regarden credits. This alternative route, while demanding in its own right, is more accessible to those who are willing to put in the effort. Worker, with a supportive smile, assures the students that he is committed to helping them earn these credits, recognizing that the first method may be too arduous for many. By providing guidance and mentorship, Werkner aims to empower the students to achieve their goals through dedication and hard work, rather than relying solely on innate magical talent. Will departs from class and goes for a stroll with Colette. Will shares his thoughts about his experience with Werkner, and we learn through Colette that Will's earned many writing credits. Will understands Werkner's mildly strict, but he is grateful that Werkner offers him and others supplementary lessons. Then Will and Colette stumble upon Cheyenne, Gordon, and other students. Lurel, a fellow student, boasts to a group of students that Cheyenne single-handedly defeated the evil Sentinel, a feat that earns Cheyenne admiration and envy. However, Cheyenne knows the truth, that Will was the one who actually defeated the evil Sentinel. Internally, Cheyenne seethes with anger and frustration, feeling inadequate and overshadowed by Will's accomplishment. He confronts Will, his expression tense and accusatory. Colette, sensing the tension, intervenes and tells Cheyenne to leave Will alone. Cheyenne's group departs, but not before Cheyenne shoots Will a bitter glance. Will confirms that something happened between him and Cheyenne but does not elaborate, his expression neutral and guarded. The incident leaves a palpable strain on their relationship, with Cheyenne's resentment and jealousy simmering just below the surface. Professor Edward, his face red with indignation, confronts Cauldron in her office, demanding that she expel Will from Regarden Academy. Cauldron, however, remains calm and composed, refusing to yield to Edward's pressure. She argues that Will is already in his final year and has earned the right to complete his studies. Edward retorts that Will should not be allowed to stay because he is not a true wizard, his abilities not meeting the traditional standards of magic. Cauldron, anticipating this argument, pulls out a worn leather book containing the records of all students who have attended Regarden. She begins to list Will's achievements, from his exceptional swordsmanship to his innovative problem-solving skills, demonstrating that his unique talents make him an asset to the Academy. Cauldron's words are persuasive, and she successfully uses Will's accomplishments to support her stance on why he should not be expelled. Edward's expression turns from anger to frustration, realizing that Cauldron's well-prepared argument has effectively countered his demands. Moreover, Cauldron says even if Will is not able to become a Magia Vander, Will has the skills to become a healer, artificer, or something else. Additionally, she wants to produce more proficient scholars like Will for the fated day. Edward understands but argues that Will wants to become a Magia Vander, which bothers Edward. Cauldron understands and asks Edward to give Will a test. Cauldron has a serious talk with Will. She says that if he fails Edward's test, she will let Edward decide what to do with him. Edward can either expel Will from the school or let him continue. Then, Edward leaves the room, leaving Will to worry about the test. Later that day, Colette helps Will put his textbooks away in his locker. Will thanks Colette for always helping him with her magical talent. Colette is very kind and always willing to assist Will. While putting away the books, Colette notices the sword in Will's locker. She questions him further, her eyes fixed on the sword, and he confirms that it is his. However, he explains that he cannot carry it around due to certain reasons. He does not want to bring it to his dorm room because he does not want to bother his roommate Rusty with the sword. Will is considerate of others and does not want to cause any trouble. He is thoughtful and gentle, revealing his kind nature. His actions demonstrate that he is a caring individual who prioritizes the well-being of those around him. Then the scene cuts away to Regarden's study hall area. Will reads up on some world history and takes notes. Colette suggests Will take a break. Will says he does not want to lose his writing skills or credits. Otherwise, Will feels he can kiss his Upper Institute advancement dreams goodbye. While the two discuss more, Edward arrives and interrupts their discussion. Edward tells Will to report to the spell hall immediately. Will and Edward arrive at the spell hall. Edward tells Will he is giving Will a supplementary lesson because he wants to verify Will's worth. He says Will must land an attack on him. If Will succeeds, Edward will award Will with 5 spellwork credits. If Will fails, Edward says he will expel him. Later, Werkner arrives at Cauldron's office, seeking an update on Will's progress. Cauldron uses a spell that allows both of them to witness the duel between Edward and Will. Werkner is shocked and concerned by what he sees. Cauldron understands Werkner's perspective but believes she must acknowledge Edward's worries about Will becoming a Magia Vander. She thinks that Edward's concerns should not be ignored, even if Werkner disagrees. Werkner strongly disagrees with Cauldron's decision, his expression stern and disapproving. He points out that Edward was once the closest to becoming a Magia Vander, a fact that makes him an unsuitable judge of Will's potential. He argues that Edward is now too invested in his own methods and may overlook Will's unique strengths and abilities. Meanwhile, Kiki arrives at Will's locker and Colette happens to be in the area. Kiki urges Colette to open Will's locker with a spell and Colette complies. Then we return to the duel between Will and Edward again. Edward walks toward Will and tells Will he should abandon his goals. Will stands up and tells Edward he will not back down because he wants to be with Elfaria, the girl he loves. Colette arrives and tosses Will his sword, which he catches with a nod of gratitude. With his sword in hand, Will continues fighting Edward, his movements swift and determined. He reveals that one dwarf managed to land a single blow on the wizard, earning recognition for his bravery. Inspired by this story, Will lands a single attack on Edward, who nods in approval and awards Will with 5 credits. The scene shifts back to Cauldron and Wertner. Cauldron is impressed by Will's achievements and his ability to think on his feet. Later, the scene cuts away to the outskirts of Regarden, where Rusty is busy baking a meal for Will. Rusty wonders when Will return home. As he slides the freshly baked bread into the oven, he cannot help but think about Will's journey and the challenges he faces.